You ever had that gut feeling? That quiet, slow-burning whisper in the back of your mind that says, something's not right? I used to ignore it. Tell myself I was paranoid. Too controlling, maybe. But let me tell you this, that gut? That's survival. And mine was screaming. I'm Brandon Carter. 42 years old. CEO of a successful real estate development firm in Dallas, Texas. I had money, power, respect, and I thought I had love. Her name was Elena. My wife. The woman I married 10 years ago under an arch of white roses, promising forever. Elena was beautiful, not in that made-up, magazine cover way. She was captivating. Graceful, confident, sensual in the way she moved and spoke. She had this laugh that could melt tension in any room and eyes that made you feel like the only man alive. I was proud to have her by my side. And I believed, like a fool, that I was the only man she wanted. But things started to shift 6 months ago. Subtle at first. A longer glance at her phone. A softness that faded from her voice when we spoke. A new gym membership early mornings and late evenings. I told myself not to overthink. That she was just busy. Stressed. Maybe even going through something I didn't understand. So I gave her space. I gave her everything. And in return? She gave herself to him. I'd hired Marcus 2 years ago, a private bodyguard. Former Navy SEAL. Tall, lean, built like a wall with eyes sharp as razors. The kind of man who didn't say much, but his presence alone kept danger at bay. Elena was nervous when I first brought Marcus on board. Do we really need security? She'd asked. You're not a politician or a celebrity, Brandon. No, I said. But we have money. Influence. That makes us targets. Marcus was meant to protect us. To protect her. Now, looking back, I realized just how close he stayed. The way Elena would smile a little differently when he opened the door for her. The way he'd linger just a second too long after helping her into the car. I saw it. But I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't. The final crack came on a Saturday morning. Elena was at yoga. I was in my home office, sorting through quarterly reports, sipping cold black coffee, when I heard the buzz of her phone left behind on the kitchen counter. It kept vibrating, over and over. Curiosity tugged at me. I shouldn't have looked, but hell, I had to. I opened the screen. The messages were short. Coded. But damning. Marcus, last night was insane. Can't stop thinking about you. Elena, you make me feel things I forgot were even possible. My hands trembled. I scrolled. Images. Him. Her. Intimate. Careless. Every cell in my body went cold. That gut feeling? It was no longer whispering, it was roaring. I sat back, phone clenched in my hand, staring out the window of our glass-walled kitchen. The Dallas skyline stood proud in the distance. My kingdom. My life. And now it all felt like a damn joke. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even scream. Instead, I did what I do best, I calculated. I didn't confront her right away. No. I needed more. I needed everything. Dates. Places. Proof that would crush her lies and bury them in the truth. I hired a private investigator the next day. Someone outside my company. Discreet. Professional. A week later, I had a full report. They'd met at hotels. Twice a week, sometimes more. She told me she was going to yoga, to charity meetings, even to see her mother in Austin. All lies. He was in her like a ghost in the walls of our home. But here's what twisted the knife deeper: they used my money. My driver. My schedule. My own protection. Marcus must have known every weak spot in my life. When I traveled. When I was in boardrooms. When I slept. He knew everything. And that's how he slid into the cracks, right under my nose, and stole the woman I'd built a life with. But here's the thing. I'm not just a man in love. I'm a man of war when betrayed. And the game? It had just begun. What happens when the betrayer becomes the hunted? When the man who built the kingdom turns his wrath on the thieves who thought they could tear it down from the inside? Let's just say. They thought I wouldn't notice. But I always notice. After I uncovered the messages between Elena and Marcus, my whole world split into two. There was the man I used to be, calm, logical, trusting. Then there was the man I became. Focused. Cold. Dangerous. You don't just sit back after learning your wife's been screwing your personal bodyguard in your own orbit. You act. But revenge, it's a dish you cook low and slow. You don't just flip the table. You make sure the wine spills on their laps. And the knife? It lands between their ribs when they're smiling. I spent the next week studying them. Every movement. Every pattern. Marcus was meticulous, I'll give him that. He never left a trace, no financial links, no hotel receipts. But he underestimated me. I owned real estate all over Dallas, including 2 mid-range hotels where the security systems fed directly to servers in my name. When I checked the logs, cross-referenced Elena's yoga classes with door timestamps, there it was, clear as crystal. Room 1208 at the Cliffview Suites, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10:15 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Security footage? She walked in with sunglasses, hair in a tight bun, low profile. Marcus followed 10 minutes later, baseball cap low, hoodie on. Thinking he was slick. Thinking they were ghosts. Idiots. I downloaded the footage and stored it on a secure drive. I didn't even watch it in full, I didn't need to see the play-by-play. My mind filled in every detail. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was psychological warfare. My wife. With him. I needed one more thing before I struck Elena's honesty. So, I tested her. On Friday evening, I told her I had to fly to Phoenix for a last-minute investors meeting. I even packed a bag, arranged a car to the airport, kissed her goodbye like I used to when we still made love without her thinking of another man. I drove away. And then I doubled back. Watched from a rental 2 blocks away. By 9:40 a.m. Saturday, Marcus pulled up in his matte black truck. I watched her walk out the front door in yoga pants, duffel bag slung over one shoulder, sunglasses shielding those lying eyes. He didn't even wait for the corner, he leaned out and kissed her. On the mouth. Not some quick peck. A long, lazy kiss. The kind you give someone you own. They drove off, and I followed. Room 207 this time. Another hotel I didn't own. But I didn't need security footage. I had my own, I had me. I watched them go inside. They didn't check in together. He went first, she followed 5 minutes later. They thought they were careful. They weren't. I waited 3 hours. Plenty of time for them to finish whatever betrayal they were sweating out on the sheets. Then I did something I never imagined doing, I walked into that hotel. Straight to the front desk. Flashed my wallet with a security consultant badge I had custom printed a year ago for corporate inspections. It looked legit. Even had a microchip embedded. The clerk didn't question me. I told him there was a possible leak in one of the rooms and I needed to check room 207 discreetly. He handed me the spare keycard without blinking. I rode the elevator like I was headed into war. Room 207. I paused at the door. My hand shook. Not from fear. From adrenaline. I slid the card in. Click. I opened the door slowly. At first, nothing. A dim hallway. Silence. Then, soft noises. Muffled laughter. A moan. The distinct sound of skin on skin. My stomach twisted. My fists clenched. But I didn't go in. I stepped back. No. This wasn't how I was going to do it. I wasn't going to barge in like some wounded animal. I was going to bury them in their own shame, publicly. Thoroughly. I left that hallway with my head held high, even as fire burned in my veins. That night, over dinner, I asked Elena how her yoga was. She smiled. Hard today. Inversions and deep stretches. I nodded. Glad it was satisfying, I said slowly, watching her face. She didn't even flinch. That's when I knew she'd crossed the line so far she couldn't even see it anymore. She was living a second life right beneath my roof, wearing her wedding ring like it still meant something. It was almost impressive. I looked at her then. Really looked. The woman I married was still there, same face, same voice. But what was behind her eyes? Not love. Not regret. Just comfort. Arrogance. Like she believed she'd never be caught. Like Marcus was just another secret she could hide behind fake appointments and sexy underwear. But what Elena didn't realize was I wasn't hurt anymore. I was strategizing. She chose to love my bodyguard. Now she'd have to see what happens when the man she betrayed stops protecting anything. What happens when the betrayed husband becomes the master of the game? When the stage is set and the players don't even know the curtains are rising? The truth is a blade. And I was just about ready to cut. They say revenge is a poison that kills the vessel it's poured from. But that's only true when revenge is sloppy. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to burn everything they had, slowly, deliberately, while they smiled at each other, still thinking they were safe. And when it was all over, when the ashes settled, I'd be standing in the ruins, calm. Because I had a plan. The first step, control the narrative. In my world, wealth, politics, reputation, perception is king. Marcus had worked for me for nearly 5 years. A decorated ex-Navy SEAL, disciplined, fit, respected by everyone on the estate. He'd taken a bullet once in Morocco protecting me from a lunatic investor's ambush. Back then, I'd toasted to him. Now, I was plotting his public demise. I called a private meeting with Jackson, my legal advisor. Trusted him for more than a decade. We'd gone to Dartmouth together, buried bodies figuratively through business deals, non-disclosure agreements, and silent lawsuits. He wasn't just a lawyer, he was a cleaner. Tell me exactly what you need, Mark, Jackson said, sitting across from me in the cigar lounge of my private club. And I'll draw the knives. I need to terminate Marcus Carter, I said. Publicly. Legally. And with maximum fallout. Jackson's eyes narrowed. What did he do? He slept with my wife. Silence. Then a long exhale. All right. That's a motive. Do you want scandal, or something cleaner? Scandal, I said flatly. I want to pull the rug out from both of them. The next part of the plan required something more subtle, leverage. Something Marcus couldn't recover from. And as fate would have it, Marcus wasn't as clean as he pretended. Through a trusted PI, I discovered that Marcus had a gambling addiction. Nothing public, he used a second identity, Leon Halter. Under that alias, he frequented a high-stakes poker den operating quietly behind a gentleman's club in Houston. Cameras were scarce there, but not non-existent. I paid the club's owner, Derek, 20 grand under the table for 3 things. Surveillance footage of Marcus losing 10 grand in a single night. Proof that he took a loan from Derek at 25% interest, illegal, untraceable, but documented. A witness statement that Marcus got into a physical altercation over unpaid debt. Boom. Now I had 2 daggers, his affair with my wife, and his criminal exposure. That was all I needed to pull the trigger. The confrontation happened a week later. It was Tuesday. Marcus thought Elena and I were at couples therapy. He was in my home gym, hitting the bag, shirt off, sweat dripping down his carved torso. If I hadn't known what he was, a snake, I might have admired the discipline. But that day, all I saw was betrayal wrapped in muscle. I walked in slowly. He turned. Mark. You're back early. I tossed a thick file onto the bench. Yeah. Decided therapy wasn't worth the money. Thought I'd deal with my problems directly. He looked at the file, then back at me. His jaw clenched. What's this? Your sins. He didn't move. Open it, I said. He did. Page after page, hotel logs, screenshots, surveillance stills, loan records, poker tables. Elena's name next to his in calendar overlaps. Video captures. A screenshot of her entering his truck. One of him holding her waist. Too close. Too familiar. Shut the hell up, I snapped. Silence filled the room. His breathing slowed. Controlled. Like he was waiting for the blow. I could call the police, I said, pacing slowly. I could send this to your parole officer. You think the Navy wants to see this? Mark, listen. I could ruin you, Marcus. Legally. Financially. Hell, I could make you disappear. I have friends in places you couldn't spell. And you know what? What? He growled. I'm not going to do any of that. His eyes flicked up. Then what do you want? I stepped closer. Inches from him. I want you gone. Tonight. Out of this house. Out of this city. If I ever see your face again, I won't need evidence. Marcus nodded. Tight. Gritted teeth. But just as I turned to leave, he said something that made my blood freeze. She's not who you think she is, Mark. I stopped. She came to me, he said softly. I didn't chase her. She needed something you weren't giving her. I turned back, jaw locked. And what was that? He smirked. Real attention. I didn't hit him. I wanted to. My fist curled reflexively. But I didn't give him the satisfaction. Instead, I left. That night, I told Elena Marcus was gone. Transferred. No longer needed. She blinked. Oh, just like that? Yeah, I said. Didn't need him anymore. She hesitated. He didn't say anything? I stared at her. Like what? She swallowed. Nothing. Liar. The bodyguard is gone. The husband holds all the cards. But what happens when the wife starts playing a new game, one more dangerous than betrayal itself? Because when you back a liar into a corner, you better be ready for the storm she brings with her. After Marcus disappeared, the silence in our house wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. Thick. Like a fog of unspoken words and unread texts that hovered between every breath we took. Elena walked differently now. Not because of guilt. But because she was calculating. I wasn't sure when exactly the shift happened. Maybe it was when she realized Marcus hadn't ghosted her but was removed. Maybe it was when she checked his messages and found nothing. Or maybe, she always knew I'd figure it out. After all, a woman like Elena doesn't play with fire without knowing where the extinguisher is. One night, she made her move. We were sitting in the dining room. Steak on her plate, barely touched. Red wine in her glass, swirling with every motion of her fingers. She wasn't wearing her usual homeware, she was in a silk black dress, with a slit up the thigh and her perfume hanging in the air like a trap. I saw Marcus, she said, casually. My fork froze mid-air. Oh? I responded, feigning indifference. When? Earlier today. He didn't say much. But he looked broken. I took a sip of my whiskey, leaned back. Interesting. Thought he left town. She looked at me. Really looked at me. Like she was peeling layers off my face. You did this, didn't you? I didn't answer. The silence was my reply. Her eyes sharpened. You set him up. You erased him.
Elena, I said coldly, Marcus was a liar, a cheat, and a snake in a tailored suit. The only mistake I made was trusting him.
And trusting you.
The last 3 words stung her.
I saw it, a twitch in her jaw, a flare in her nostrils.
But she swallowed it down. She leaned forward.
So what now? You'll punish me? Divorce? Public humiliation? I laughed once, short and bitter. You think I'd let you walk away clean? Elena, I'm not interested in revenge. I'm interested in truth.
That made her pause. I continued, calm as ever.
Tell me what happened. All of it. Start to finish.
Or I promise you Marcus won't be the only one who disappears. She hesitated, then stood up and walked slowly toward the large glass window overlooking the garden. Her back was to me, and for a moment, she was just a silhouette, a beautiful, broken shadow trapped in her own lies. I never meant for it to start, she said quietly.
Bullshit, I muttered.
I didn't, she insisted.
It started small. You were always away. Board meetings. Galas. Campaigns. Always chasing the next billion. The next headline.
You had everything, I said.
Luxury. Security. My trust.
She turned, eyes glistening.
I had everything but you, Mark. There it was.
The same excuse, wrapped in silk and guilt.
I needed someone to see me. To really see me. Marcus, he wasn't just a bodyguard. He listened. He noticed. He made me feel like I still existed. I stood up. Walked to the bar. Poured myself another drink, slower this time. And then? I asked.
Then, she echoed.
We kissed. One night. It was raining. I'd had wine.
You missed our anniversary dinner. I turned sharply.
So because I was working to keep us alive, you decided to screw the help? She didn't flinch. No. Because I was alone. For too long.
She walked toward me, slowly.
I know what I did was wrong. But you're not innocent, Mark. You've been emotionally gone for years.
Marcus was a mistake, but he wasn't the disease.
He was a symptom.
You were my wife, I hissed.
Not my therapist.
She stopped inches from me. You still love me, she whispered.
I laughed. Does it matter? Yes. Because if you don't, then finish this. Divorce me. Destroy me. But if you do even a little, then don't pretend this is black and white.
She was close. I could smell her perfume.
See the curve of her neck. The same body I once worshipped. The same lips that whispered promises.
The same hands that had touched him.
I stepped back. You know what? I said. You're right. This isn't black and white.
Her eyes lit up with hope.
It's red. Red? The color of betrayal. The color of rage. The color I see every time I remember what you did in our bedroom. On our sheets. In my house.
She stood frozen. Then something in her broke. The tears came, real and raw.
I'm sorry, Mark. I really am.
I wanted to believe her.
God, I wanted to.
But the image of her with Marcus, his hands on her, her breath in his ear, was burned into my skull.
Sorry wasn't enough. Not anymore. Later that night, I went to the guest room. Couldn't sleep near her. Couldn't breathe near her.
But at 3:27 a.m., I heard the door creak open.
Soft steps.
The scent of her perfume. Mark, she whispered.
I stayed silent.
She crawled into the bed beside me, slowly. Her hand touched mine. I don't want to lose you, she whispered.
I didn't pull away. But I didn't respond.
And we stayed like that, two liars in a broken bed, clinging to the last thread of something that might have already died.
What do you do when love turns into war? When the line between punishment and forgiveness blurs? In the final part, secrets will be weaponized, choices will be made, and not everyone will survive the fallout. Weeks passed.
The days grew quieter, colder.
Not because it was winter outside, but because it was winter inside. Elena and I coexisted like two strangers who knew each other's passwords but not their hearts. The passion that once held us together was now a ghost that haunted every room. I slept in the guest room. She stopped asking why. We didn't fight. We didn't talk. And somehow, that silence hurt more than shouting ever could. But pain has a way of forcing truth to the surface. And eventually, it did. It was a Sunday morning.
I was sipping coffee on the balcony, staring at the city skyline when Elena stepped out behind me. She looked like a stranger in her own home, tight gray sweater, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. Beautiful, but tired.
"I'm leaving," she said. I didn't look at her. "Where?" She hesitated. "To my sister's. In Connecticut. Just for a while." I nodded slowly. Running away doesn't fix things.
She sat beside me, folding her arms.
"I'm not running," she said. "I'm giving us space. You need it. I need it."
"You mean you're giving your guilt space to breathe?"
She winced. But didn't argue. "Mark," she said, "what do you want from me?" I finally turned to her. "I want my life back. My trust. My dignity."
"You slept with the one man whose job was to protect me."
Do you understand how deep that cut goes?
Tears welled in her eyes.
"I made a mistake." "No," I said coldly. "You made a choice. Again and again."
She looked down, ashamed.
Then I added, softer, "and I made one too." Her head shot up. "What do you mean?" I took out the small envelope from my pocket. Placed it on the table between us. "What's that?" she asked. "Evidence," I said. "Security footage. Of you and Marcus. Bedroom. Office. Even the elevator."
She stared at it, horrified.
"You recorded us?" "I didn't mean to. My system backs up everything to the cloud. The cameras never stopped. I found the files 2 days ago." She didn't reach for the envelope. Instead, she whispered, "What are you going to do with it?" "Nothing," I replied. "Unless you ever try to hurt me. Or lie to me again. This isn't revenge, Elena. It's insurance." Her lips trembled. "You think I'd still try to hurt you?" "I don't know anymore," I said. "That's the real damage here. You didn't just break my heart, you shattered my ability to believe in you." We sat in silence. Then she asked, quietly, "Do you still love me?" I didn't answer immediately. Because the truth was complicated. I did. But it was a love that limped. A love with a scar and a limp and trust wrapped in barbed wire. So I said the only thing that felt real. "I don't know." She left that afternoon. No dramatic goodbye. No tears on the porch. Just her suitcase rolling down the marble floor, heels clicking softly, the front door shutting like the final page of a novel neither of us finished. I stood at the window and watched her get into the Uber. Her head didn't turn. She never looked back. And maybe that was for the best. 6 months later. Spring bloomed over the city. I moved out of that house. Too many ghosts. Bought a penthouse uptown. Sleek, minimalist. Empty in a way that felt peaceful. Marcus? Still missing in action.
I had my people follow a few threads. He was spotted in Nevada, then Texas, but nothing concrete.
I didn't care anymore. He was a shadow, and I was done chasing ghosts. Elena? She wrote once. A letter. Handwritten. I don't expect forgiveness. But I hope you find peace. I never stopped loving you. I just stopped recognizing the woman in the mirror.
I hope one day you look back and remember more than just betrayal.
I hope you remember us.
I kept the letter in my drawer.
Never replied. But I did change. I worked less. Traveled more. Took long walks in the park. Read actual books again. Let silence be company, not punishment.
And one rainy evening, sitting in a jazz bar downtown, I met someone.
Her name was Lila.
She was nothing like Elena in the best ways.
Quiet eyes. Honest smile. No games. We talked for hours. About books. Childhood. Fears.
And for the first time in years, I laughed without bitterness.
Was it love? Not yet. But it was something. And that was enough. They say betrayal changes you. They're right. But it doesn't have to destroy you.
Sometimes, it breaks the mirror so you can finally stop staring at your own reflection and start seeing what's next.